Ella Fitzgerald was an American jazz singer and force to be reckoned with by the sound of it. Her name's very well known. She started by performing at a couple of competitions in 1934 at the age of 17, and she got picked up by a guy called Chick Webb to sing in his band. They had a single which she partially wrote, which was an adaptation of a nursery rhyme, a Tisket to Tasket, in 1938, which was a major hit, which became a launch pad for the rest of her career, I believe. In 1939, unfortunately, Chick Webb died, but the band transitioned into being Ella and her famous orchestra, and she took over leadership of the band at this point. However, in 1942, so that's 3 years later, the band fell apart. So she had a little stint with a band called the Three Keys and did quite a few collaborations before she started to basically just use her own name and record as a solo, obviously with bands. She started to scat somewhere in the early 40s. She said that she was trying to emulate the sounds that a horn made, and had been particularly influenced by Dizzy Gillespie at this point. In 1945, she released a single called Flying Home, which has been regarded as one of the most important vocal scat records released, one of the most influential, and she was definitely considered to be one of the forerunners and influential proponents of scatting. And then so she was headlining, she made albums, she did tours, she had collaborations, she had a high profile for a long time after that. She was particularly well known for her songbook albums. So, for example, I think the first one was Ella Fitzgerald Sings the Cole Porter Songbook. And she started targeting the idea of doing albums by one songwriter. And these became considered to be part of of what's called the Great American Songbook, particularly the tracks that she was recording. She was also known for her civil rights activity. So fast forward a lot of albums into the late 80s. She had some quite severe health problems, some very bad complications through diabetes. And she died in 1996 from a stroke. Hi, my name's Dan. So, of course, I've come across Ella Fitzgerald before. I think most people have who have any interest in music. I haven't necessarily heard a lot of Ella's music. I think somewhere I've got a compilation CD of some of her better-known tracks. This album is one that was new to me, though, so I haven't heard this album before, and obviously it's a live album recorded in Berlin. It was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999, so this is a special Grammy Award which was established in 1973 to honour recordings that are at least 25 years old and that have, quotes, qualitative or historical significance, unquote. So this has been recorded as a historically significant album by the Grammy people. It's a small band, and obviously with Ella singing, there is a piano, bass, drums, guitar, I think. The piano is quite significant. I'm guessing that the piano was the leader of the band, effectively, and it's quite florid on the piano at times. And the pianist seems to like putting fast flourishes in between whilst people are applauding at the end of a song, for example. Ella's voice, well, she's well known for her voice. She has a strong voice, obviously. She's got a really tight vibrato in this record, which was kind of obviously the fashion for a while, maybe the fashion earlier than this, I would say. She's got, when you kind of track through the album, she's got a huge range, is able to sing quite low and very high. She's also able to get from from quite a kind of growl in her voice to a very tender, gentle. One of the bits of singing that I was most impressed with was when she was singing a high note very quietly, because I know that's not an easy thing to do. I think one of my two criticisms of the album is that at times it feels a bit emotionless. This is not unusual for this kind of vocal jazz of that time and from quite a long time earlier, is that I think it's particularly because they're often singing songs that they didn't write themselves, and disconnected songs that are not kind of thematically linked in any idea. So the first song is possibly the worst in this, where she's singing about having lost her man, but she's singing it in quite a kind of happy way. Maybe she is happy that she's lost her man, I don't know. But it felt like that there was a disconnect there between the words and the way that it was sang. However, later in the album, that seems to improve quite a bit. It's mostly standards, although I wouldn't say I necessarily know all of them. I certainly knew probably more than half of these songs. A couple of them, many years ago, I was in a very low-key jazz band playing bass, and we covered How High the Moon and Misty, which are both on this album, so I'm quite familiar with those tracks. The two most upbeat numbers are The Lady is a Tramp, which a lot of people will know, and Too Darn Hot, which was new to me, but I enjoyed it as a track. My favourite track as a song on this album is Summertime. It's probably my favourite jazz song ever. I absolutely adore it, and it's nicely done on this album. It's done with a reasonable amount of sensitivity, I think. The song on this album that's most famous is Mack the Knife, in the sense of her version of it. And the album's obviously named after this song. So I know the song, I like the song. But the thing that this version is famous for is the fact that she apparently forgot the words partway through and just started improvising. And it's hilarious. It is really good. If she genuinely had none of that rehearsed, then it is absolutely incredible. And it was given 2 Grammy Awards for vocal performance, presumably because of the way that she just rolled with it and started singing about you probably wouldn't recognise this song as Mack the Knife and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's great. It's really well worth listening to for that. The other song that has elements of that is the last track, which is How High the Moon, which I mentioned before is one of the ones that I know from when we did it as a band. That starts being quite recognisable, and then it goes into an extended scat portion, including a bit where where it's just the drummer and her scatting, which is just great. And she shows a real musical understanding in there. As I said in the introduction, she tried to make her scatting like an instrument, and it's definitely true that she understands the harmonic structures and what she's singing within. And then when it's just down to her and the drum, she changes it and makes it more kind of Arabic scale that she's using for a while. And then later on, she starts putting in snatches from other songs and even snatches from other tunes that I recognised as well. So that's a great track as well. My second criticism, I think, is that the recording itself, it's 1960, so it's not surprising, but it's a bit lifeless compared to later recordings. And I don't even know if the version that I heard was a remastered version, but I think this would be a great album to have an up-to-date remaster on and to bring out some more warmth in it. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So I'd love to hear what you think of this album. If you know it or if you've just encountered it for the first time, please let me know in the comments below. That's it from me for now.
I guess I better quit while I'm ahead with high, 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 indeed.